Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Theravada Buddhism series, Dhamma talk number 6. The title is Predominance Condition or Full Predominance. Adipati in Pali. This full predominance, Adipati, is explained in Patana. Patana is the seventh book of Abhidhamma. In English, it is known as conditions. There are altogether 24 conditions. The relationship between mind and matter, matter and mind, mind and mind, various conditions, combinations, permutations. From there, one of the conditions is called predominance, Adipati. Full predominance. We put 4 because there are 4. These 4 predominance in Pali are called Chanda, Vriya, Citta, and Vimansa. When one of these 4 becomes very strong, that one totally dominates all other mental factors and consciousness that associated with it. That's why they are called predominance. When any one of the 4 become dominant under a set of conditions, it takes charge of all the mental factors associated with it, including the citta, consciousness associated with it. That's what it means by predominant factors or predominant condition. Okay, the first one, we call it Chanda. Okay, and if you want to put it, pair it with predominance Chanda. In Pali, it's called Chanda Dipati. Chanda Dipati. It is one of the 52 mental factors, and it belongs to the variable groups. What variable group means? Its character changes based on its associates. If it is associated with unwholesome nature, that Chanda become unwholesome. If associated with wholesome nature, that Chanda become wholesome nature. And if it is not associated with anything wholesome or unwholesome, it has a neutral nature. That's what is called variables nature. So it belongs to one of the 52 mental factors, and it belongs to the variable groups. We call the word Chanda What is it? We keep saying chanda, chanda. Its characteristics, how to recognize it, how to remember it, is wishing or wanting. Wishing to do something, wanting to do something. That is chanda. Wishing or wanting. Now you can even say desire, but when you use the word desire, a lot of people can think this way or that way, or greed or wholesome or unwholesome. It is a confusing nature because of the word. That's why we simply say wishing or wanting. And we already know it's belongs to variable groups. Wishing to do something, wanting to do something is chanda. Its function, its job, is looking for an object or looking for something to do. The job or the function of chanda is looking for an object or looking for something to do. As an example, you want to eat. Want to eat. That's a chanda. Wanting or wish. And when you want to eat, that's a characteristic. What do? You go to the fridge and look for food. Looking for food, looking for an object, looking for something to do. That's its function. You want to eat, you look for food to eat. And also this chanda in Burmese, it's called chin zait. Chin is wanting. Zait is consciousness. Consciousness with wanting. Chin zait. Like wanting to play, wanting to sleep, wanting to live, wanting to shift, wanting to shake. There's no wholesome or unwholesome. It's simply because under a set of conditions, want to do something. Shift, shake, lift, wanting, wanting, wanting. That is consciousness was wanting. Chin zait. Of course, we always note it, observe it in a meditation. So when you are in meditation, this particular case, in meditation, we are observing the intention. We are observing the intention. What is the intention? Intending to live, wanting to live, intending to push, wanting to push. But when we are meditating, we are observing, we are practicing mindfulness. So that is mindfulness. We are mindful of the intention. We are mindful of the wanting to live. A wish, a want, a desire. That's chanda. Okay, we already say they are variables, so let's see how the variables fit in. There are three kinds of chanda. Now I'm going to use the word chanda, and everybody try to get familiar with it. A wish, a want, a desire is chanda. We know its characteristics, we know its function. So let's put this chanda into our vocabulary, into a dictionary. There are three kinds of chanda. One is wishing for sense desire. All meditators would be familiar with this word, kama chanda, sense desire. Okay? Nivarana, the five hindrances. The first one is kamic chanda. Here, this is kamic chanda. It's a desire for senses or sense desire. That's called kamic chanda. Specifically for senses. Want a beautiful thing, want to smell nice, want to hear nice, and so on. Kamic chanda. The next one is wanting for lack of a better word, wanting for dissatisfaction. Patika chanda. Patika is actually more like dosa, aversion, anger, aversion, also dissatisfaction. So I use the word dissatisfaction here so that it can cover many aspects. Wanting for dissatisfaction. Nobody wants to be dissatisfied, but actually, strictly speaking, not liking anger is actually wanting to be happy. Not liking discomfort is wanting to be comfortable. That's why I use the word wanting for dissatisfaction. Basically, the first one is lobha, wanting for sense desire, lobha, greed. The second one is wanting for dissatisfaction, anger, is dosa. Lobha and dosa, they are mental defilements. But both wanting for sense desire and wanting for dissatisfaction comes under the umbrella of craving. Both are craving. I won't go into detail because I had explained it before. So, both wanting and not wanting is craving, and these are associated with lobha, the greed, and dosa, the anger, lobha and dosa. So, these two are called immoral desire, akusala, or you can say, more modern word, unwholesome desire. Some people don't like to use moral, immoral, too strict. So let's use it wholesome and unwholesome. Or even further, some people will say skillful and unskillful. They represent the same thing, moral, wholesome, skillful, immoral, unwholesome, unskillful, one and the same. Always somebody come up with a more politically correct word. In Pali is akusala. So these are akusala chanda, unwholesome desire. And the next one is called dhamma chanda. You know what dhamma is. Okay? Something that is wholesome. So it is the moral desire, wholesome desire, or skillful desire. it is kusala, wholesome in nature. Second type, the first type is unwholesome in nature. Second type is wholesome in nature. And the third one is simply, let's call it mere wishing. Simply wishing, mere wishing, bare wishing, whatever you like. The word will be simply chanda. Wishing. That wishing is neither wholesome or unwholesome, neither skillful or unskillful. So, this mere wishing is not associated with lobha or dosa, greed or anger. Let's say, wanting to yawn. That is neither moral or immoral, simply wanting to yawn because of the condition. Maybe I pronounce wrongly, Y-E-A-R-N, yawn. Due to chanda, because of chanda, consciousness wants to do something. Consciousness by itself, neither wants or not wants, but because of chanda, consciousness wants to do something. So in other words, chanda is pushing consciousness to do something. Chanda is pushing consciousness to want something. They are doing their own job. Consciousness simply knows the object. Chanda, wants or wish. When the two combine, it becomes wanting consciousness, wishing consciousness. Two combine. So, when that wanting or desire become very strong, whether it is wholesome nature or unwholesome nature, doesn't matter. It becomes a dominant condition. When the wanting becomes very strong, extremely strong, it becomes a dominant condition. All over all other mental factors and consciousness associated with it. Whenever there is a mental factor, it's never alone. There are a bunch of other mental factors as well. Whenever there's a mental factor, it's not alone. There's a consciousness as well. Whenever there's a mental factor, it's not alone. There's an object as well. Those I have explained it, I'm trying to repeat here again. And people with very strong chanda will and can fulfill the job at hand, the task, the important task. They will fulfill because the desire is so strong. Let's see those activists who are protecting the trees. Their desire to protect that tree is so strong. What do? They climb up about 200-300 feet tall tree and change himself or herself on the top. People might thought it's crazy. But it is the desire, the chanda that is pushing. That is called chanda Adipati. Very strong chanda, wish, want. Just an example. As we are the Vipassana practitioner, let's put in a little bit of Vipassana here. In Vipassana meditation, you can experience that mental factor chanda. How can you experience it? Have you ever experienced it? You are meditating, rising, falling. After a while, after a few weeks, you become a little bored. You want a new object to observe instead of rising and falling of the abdomen. That little wanting a new object is chanda. And if you're aware of it, that is your direct experience of the mental factor chanda. You want a new object, or you look for a new object, which means you shifted away from rising and falling. Go into thought. You don't go into thought automatically. You are looking for something different. That's why you shift into a thought. That looking a new object is chanda, and you are experiencing it directly if you are aware of it. And also, once you become a skillful yogi, you can see the appearance of the chanda and disappearance of a chanda. Wishing for a new object arises, you are aware of it, and then that desire disappear, that wish disappear, appearance and disappearance. And when you are acutely aware of the appearance and disappearance, that is a vipassana insight. Anicca, vipassana insight. Vipassana wisdom. Once one had reached this vipassana insight on this mental factor chanda, if you are quite acutely aware all the time, one will never approach chanda with lobha or dosa, with greed or anger. In other words, your chanda will not be associated with greed, your chanda will not be associated with anger. It becomes a continuous flow or a stream of mere chanda or neutral chanda without kilesa. But first you must be acutely observed and aware of the mental factor chanda. In other words, simplified it, know all your intentions without fail. Okay, we talked quite a bit on chanda, one of the predominant factor. Let's go for another one. Viriya. Viriya is effort. But if you want to make it predominance, we call it Viriya Adipati. Predominant effort. But we won't go very deep into this Viriya effort because we have discussed so many times on this subject. Effort, energy, viriya. So everyone should be fairly well versed in it. So this viriya is a ability to exert energy, ability to exert high energy over a difficult situation and important task. Whenever difficult situation come in, important tasks come in, you want to overcome it, you exert high energy. That's viriya. When that factor, viriya, becomes dominant factor, it takes control over all the other mental factors and consciousness associated with it. He is the boss. Everybody listen to him. All the other mental factors listen to him. Consciousness listen to him. Him means the effort, viriya. And of course, viriya streamline all of them to do its bidding. That is viriya Adipati, predominance effort. The third one is called Citta Adipati. Citta is consciousness, Adipati is predominant consciousness. Citta Adipati, predominant consciousness. This one will be a little difficult to explain because it needs a lot of explanation, but we'll just put a very brief explanation here. So predominant consciousness. This type of predominant consciousness is also called Javana Citta. Javana means swift, Citta is consciousness. Javana Citta or swift consciousness. Predominant consciousness, swift consciousness, Javana consciousness, one and the same. That's the first thing we know. It's very important to know this Javana consciousness if you want to understand predominant consciousness. There are 55 swift consciousness. We know all these things because the Buddha taught us. There are 55 swift consciousness. But however, swift consciousness with one root or rootless in nature does not qualify to be called predominant consciousness. This swift consciousness, if they have only one root or if they have no root, they are not predominant consciousness. And there are two one-root consciousness, moha mula, in other words, delusion-rooted consciousness. There are two of them, and another is one is rootless. So, one rootless and two, one with one root. Altogether three. These threes are not qualified to be called predominant consciousness. So out of the 55, three's out. So there are 52 swift consciousness or Javana consciousness. Altogether 52. We can call it predominant consciousness. Citta Adipati. Such consciousness, Javana consciousness or swift consciousness, whichever word you like, such consciousness dominates over all other mental factors associated with it. Whenever consciousness arises, there are mental factors. But if that consciousness is this predominant consciousness, all the mental factors listen to him, listen to her, take instruction from that consciousness. Okay, so that's best under the time we can explain about what predominant consciousness is. But I can tell you how it manifests. That one is easy. It matters fact to people, persons with resolute mind, people with unbending mind, people with unchanging mind. Those are people with Chitta Adipati, predominant consciousness. Those things we can see, so we say manifest as resolute, unbending, unchanging mind. Those are the people with predominant consciousness. Once a decision or determination is made, nothing could change his or her mind if they possess that kind of consciousness. So that is Chitta Adipati. And this talk comes out of a yogi's question. The yogi asks, what is Chitta Adipati? At that time, I can only give one line answer. A person with a strong determination, resolute mind. And the fourth predominant factor is called Vimansa. Vimansa is actually another name for Pinya. You know Pinya, you have heard Pinya all the time, wisdom. Wisdom, Pinya, Vimansa. One and the same. In a daily life, in a everyday's normal world, we call wisdom, what do we call? If you're very logical, if you're very analytical, if you're very intelligent, we call it, oh, that guy is very wise, smart. That's wisdom, our daily world wisdom. And these wisdom, logic and etc., support one to see, to know, and to solve problems at hand in the most efficient and effective way. This daily wisdom solves daily problems effectively. But in the world of Buddha Dharma, it's different. In the world of Buddha Dharma, wisdom is knowing the true nature of mind and matter. One way to put it. Wisdom is vipassana insight. Wisdom is path wisdom, fruition wisdom. Those are called wisdom in Buddha Dharma. True nature of mind and matter, vipassana, insight, path and fruition. Wisdom or insight. In other words, it is the mental factor that discriminate between right and wrong, between wholesome and unwholesome. Okay? The wisdom or intelligence that can discriminate right and wrong, wholesome and unwholesome. When the mental factor when this particular mental factor, vimansa or pinya or wisdom, becomes dominant, it takes control of all other mental factors as well as the consciousness that are associated with it. And it makes them do according to its directive. Whatever it directs, the rest follow and do it. The wisdom is in charge. That is Vimansa, Adipati. So there are full Adipati, full predominance. One is Chanda Adipati, predominant desire. Next one is Vriya Adipati, okay, predominant effort. The third one is Chitta Adipati, predominant consciousness. And the fourth and the final one is Vimansa Adipati, predominant wisdom. 4 of them. And these 4, they always together. It is not one separate from the other. If one is there, the other 3 is there. They always coexist together. They are great qualities. However, whichever one is in a dominant position, whichever one becomes the leader of the group, the other 3 fall in line behind it. Whichever one is leading a situation the strongest, the other 3 falls in line behind it and support. But they are always together, not one without the other. When one of these 4 predominants become strong, okay, just strong, one can overcome difficulties. One can fulfill the wishes and wants and succeed in all tasks. As one can overcome any challenges, it is also known as the 4 means of accomplishment. This Adipati predominant is also known as 4 means of accomplishments because they are the means to accomplish, to overcome anything that one is facing. 4 means of accomplishment, another name. But specifically speaking here, when these 4 are applied towards the Buddha Dharma for enlightenment, it is known as Adipati, another name, Adipati. Some people translate as miracles or powers. But this Adipati is 4 means of accomplishment to get enlightened. To get enlightened, you need these one of the 4 means of accomplishment. Adipati. So Adipati, predominance, Adipati, accomplishment, one and the same. But if you are putting forth towards the enlightenment, it becomes Adipati, means of accomplishment to get enlightened. May all of you be able to practice mindfulness insight meditation using one of the predominants as a leader, and may you get enlightened as soon as possible. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much.